Evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Monday Zen and Zazen class. Tonight I will talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes from To You again, but before that, as always, let's sit together for half an hour. Thank you for joining. So let me say some words about Sawaki Roshi's quotes. I want to talk about the last three quotes in chapter 8. In the printed version, that's page 48. The first one: there are some who cheat on the preparatory exam, so they have to cheat on the real exam as well. Otherwise, they won't pass. They go so far with their stupidity that I almost owe them my respect. But actually, if you think about it, you find the same sort of stupidity everywhere in this world. I don't know if it's the same in America, but in a lot of East Asian countries, the entrance exams for university are very important. The whole rest of your life depends pretty much on what university you get into. So people go to prep school here in Japan, even though you would go to middle school and high school until the late afternoon. A lot of kids go to prep school at night to prepare them for entrance exams. And then there are these preparatory exams, which basically tell you how good you are. And Sawaki is here making the point that some people, how do you say, cheat at those preparatory exams, which in a way is useless, because those are the exams to tell you how good you are and if it's realistic to get into whatever university you want to. So if you cheat on the preparatory exam, of course you have to cheat in the real exam. And if you get into university finally, of course you also have to cheat in university if you want to graduate properly. Another example maybe would be dating. You want to find a good partner. So you present yourself, for example, nowadays you would present yourself on a dating site like Tinder. So maybe you use a filter on your picture to show yourself better off, or you pretend to be a better person than you actually are. And if you finally find a person that's willing to date you, of course you also have to play a different person at the date. And if you succeed in that and you finally start a relationship with that other person, you're basically trapped in that situation where for the whole time you always have to pretend to be a different person. But that's actually what a lot of us do. And that, of course, has to do with what I call playing the game. You play the game and you pretend to be a better player than you actually are. I don't know if it's true or not, but there are these rumors about Elon Musk, who's not only the richest man in the world, and now he's the right-hand man for Donald Trump, but also, I don't know, whatever game it is, he's in the top 20, and people say actually he's paying other people he's paying other people to play for him so that he can show off, I'm one of the best video players in the world, whatever. And it's not only about Elon Musk. It's just that people like Elon Musk in a way show it in the most obvious way how we all are. In a way, I think we all have a small Elon Musk in ourselves. Next quote. It's difficult to drink in moderation. That's because it's the wine itself that drinks the wine. It's exactly the same with the illusions in the world. There's this saying in Japanese, well, in Japanese it's sake o nonde mo sake ni nomareru na, which means drink wine, but take care that the wine doesn't drink you. Basically, the idea is drink with moderation. Make sure that you're still in control. And what not Dogen Zenji, but Sawaki Roshi says here, that's easier to say than to do. We think that we are still in control. I'm drinking the wine. It's not the wine that's drinking me, but more often or not, we let the wine take over. And as far as I know, that's especially true for alcoholics. So if you tell an alcoholic, it's not a problem if you drink, as long as you drink with moderation. The problem of the alcoholic is you can either not drink at all, or you allow the wine to drink the wine, so to speak. You allow the wine to swallow you up. And Sawaki Roshi says basically that's the problem with all of our illusions. We think that we're in control, but more often than not, we are only slaves of our illusions. A positive example of this wine drinking the wine would be if you get so deeply into the practice of Zazen that it's not you anymore that's using Zazen as a tool for you. It's not that I do Zazen to become a better person, I do Zazen to become more mindful, I do Zazen to become enlightened, but you allow Zazen to swallow you up, and it's not you anymore that's doing Zazen. You're not in control anymore, but actually Zazen is doing Zazen. But more often than in this positive sense, it's happening in a negative sense, that our illusions take over, that we are under the control of our illusions. And now the third one, the last quote in chapter 8. Take 100,000 possibilities, line them up and compare them. So basically the choices that we have with our life. Dating would be, again, an example. 100,000 possibilities, 100,000 partners out there on Twitter that are all possible love interests for you. Line them up and compare them. And of course, not only dating, choosing the right job for you, choosing your career, whatever. Line them up and compare them. They all lead down a dead end. Maybe a dead end is, how do you say, over the top, but none of them are perfect. You will find a fault with all of them. There's no perfect partner, there's no perfect job, there's no perfect life. They all lead down a dead end. This way leads down a dead end, that way leads down a dead end. Whatever direction you go in, you are stuck. Now simply throw out everything that would lead down a dead end. If you eliminate all of those possibilities that lead down a dead end, what have you left? And Sawaki Roshi ends with a quote from a Chinese text. The title in Japanese is Shodoka. Shodoka means the Song of Enlightenment. It's the first line, which is, "A man of great leisure beyond learning and doing." That reminds me of a koan that, if I remember right, I already talked about in one of these Monday classes about 2 or 3 years ago. It was quite at the beginning. It's not one of the traditional koans, but a modern koan from the 20th century, invented, so to speak, by a guy called Hisamatsu. He says this is the core koan. And the koan is basically, if there's nothing that you can do, and not doing anything is also not an option, what do you do? What will you do if all of the options out there are no good? You can't choose any of these options. But doing nothing is also not an option. Here in the end, it sounds as if Sawaki Roshi says, well, basically, just don't do anything. Be a man of great leisure beyond learning and doing. But what if you go even one step further and say, not doing anything, even doing zazen, is not an option. Lying on the couch is not an option. And all of the other options also lead down a dead end. What will you do? What will you do with your life? Okay, so much from my side for the time being. If you have questions, things you would like to share, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, if there's no questions, I can also continue with chapter 9. But first, if there's anything you would like to say or ask, please do so. Any questions? Anything from your side? Shwen and Chris. Chris, yes, please.
He's talking about finding about dating. Was he married? I was just looking it up. I think I asked before long ago. Was he married and have a family?
No, no. The whole dating part, it came from my side. So he
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
mention. Yeah, that.
Okay.
So he was only talking about the prep exam. He didn't go to university, but actually he taught at university. He was talking at Komazawa. So maybe he was watching the students there. But I don't know if he ever had a girlfriend. He certainly wasn't married.
He does
So
have one passage about like uh dancing with geishas or something.
yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right. There's this famous quote with, like when you sit in zazen and there's how do you say, a flea biting you somewhere on your testicles, you realize it at once and it's almost the end of the world. I have to do something about it. While if you're dancing with the geisha and the same thing happens, you're so busy with the geisha, you don't realize that. So I could imagine that he also had a certain, how do you say, erotic interest. He was interested in women, but we don't know about any love affairs, or there certainly was no marriage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you would like to ask or share? Kenza, please.
Thank you. For some reason, I can't find the lifting the hand thing, so I just lifted my hand. I just wanted to say that what I like is Kodo Sawaki always makes me feel like a fool. And I think it's wonderful. It's very refreshing. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah. He's very good at that, and without any disrespect to Sawaki Roshi intended, I think the reason why he's so good at it, because he's a fool, but he's very aware of that, and he's not afraid to basically get it out into the open, his own foolishness. And when he's talking about illusions, he's not talking about the illusions of the others out there. He knows what illusion means. He's very honest about his own illusions, about his own foolishness, and that's why we see ourselves in that mirror. He's holding a mirror to us, but he's not trying to present himself as this perfect guru. That's what makes it easier for ourselves to recognize ourselves in that mirror. Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share? Shall we start with the first couple of quotes of the 9th chapter? That would be page 49. They're all pretty short. The title of the chapter is "To You Who Would Like to Slap Your Boss with a Letter of Resignation." Well, I, for my whole life, was never employed in the company, but I could imagine anybody who was ever employed and had to work under a boss knows this feeling that you think about, well, maybe next Tuesday, tomorrow, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell my boss he can do it without me. Of course, Sawaki Roshi also, he was never employed, but he probably knows this kind of feeling that I'm gonna quit. And Sawaki Roshi starts with a quote, "As a human being, you can walk freely in any direction you choose." You can walk freely in any direction you choose. In a way, that's the answer to that question, or to the koan. If there's nothing you can do, and even doing nothing is not an option, what do you do? What do you do if there's nothing you can do? If there's nothing you can do, then the answer is you can do anything. You can walk any direction you want. It's just the point is that when you do that, make sure you really walk that path to the end. Make sure it's your path. And do it completely. If there's nothing you can do, and even doing nothing is not an option, you can do anything you want. It's just that you should do it 100%. You should do it with your heart and soul and with your body in there. As a human being, you can walk freely in any direction you choose. And the next one starts also with "as a human being." As a human being, whatever you do, you should do it in a way that can't be done a second time. What can be repeated is best left to the robots. So I said do it 100%, which is a phrase that a lot of people use. Some people also say do it 120%. But Sawaki Roshi here says do it in a way that cannot be repeated. Do it as if it was the first time and the last time. That's something that people also say I think quite a lot about your attitude to life, and I think it's right. You should live every day of your life as if it was the first time and the last time. Or I talked about dating. I think one thing that sometimes can make marriage life difficult in the beginning of a relationship, the person you meet is new and there are so many things you discover about that person, so many things you discover, that person discovers about you. But then after a couple of years, you think you know each other. And actually, that's not true, even about yourself. When you look in the mirror, you think you're seeing your old self there. But actually, that version of yourself that you see, if you look in the mirror today, you see it for the first time. It's just we forget about that. We also forget about it when we're together with a partner for a long time. It's the spouse, the same spouse that woke up next to me yesterday and 1 year ago, 10 years ago. But actually that's not the case. You're meeting that person, that version of your spouse today for the first time and also for the last time. You will not meet that person again tomorrow, not because he or she is going to be dead, hopefully not, but that person that you can meet tomorrow or that person that you can see in the mirror tomorrow is not the person that you see there today. So I think that's also connecting to this. Do things in a way they cannot be done a second time, even drinking a cup of tea. We might think that we're drinking the same cup of tea that we drink every morning. No, you can drink this cup of tea only once now. Drink it in a way that cannot be done in a second time. Meet your spouse in a way you won't be able to meet him or her a second time, and look at yourself in the mirror in a way you won't look at yourself for a second time. And then number 3, very short, life doesn't run on tracks. Life doesn't run on tracks. So it's not a Monopoly game. It's not a game where you roll the dice and you go whatever number you rolled, you advance. There's no tracks in life. So that would be everything from my side. Another chance if you have things you would like to question or share.
I would probably love to share some thoughts on that point of making everything for the first time, like it was the first time.
Yes.
Recently I listened to some music that I used to listen many years ago, and I immediately caught an emotion, a feeling that was evoked by that music. And there is a popular concept of your true self. You either can find your true self or lose your true self. And on that evoked emotion, I started thinking that, maybe that was my true self that I have long lost, and I gotta find it once again. But then I understood that I remember only one emotional moment, and since I remember nothing more, it makes me think in my present that all my past self was felt or perceived like this. But basically, I'm imagining about myself and my past. All I can feel is one single moment now. And eventually I came to the conclusion that there is no self in the past or your true self. Myself is just perception and infinite change that I can experience. And I think it's very important in order to avoid an illusion of starting to look for your true self and thus stopping to drink a cup of tea as if it is for the first and for the last time, and thinking that it could be repeated. Thank you. Sorry for this lengthy speech.
Yeah, with the true self, it's just like with the self you see in the mirror. It's always new. It doesn't continue. You won't find it yesterday, and even if you find it today, tomorrow, there's a different so-called true self. It's nothing permanent. It's always changing. You always meet it now, in this moment, for the first time. Anything else you would like to ask or share? Chris, please.
I wanted to follow up on that. I think I understand what he was just saying, and I was thinking though in the zazen, though, in a similar way, like you let go, and you have kind of a stillness, but in one way there's no like complete stillness either. Like in the same way, there's no unchanging self. So like, I feel like I move around too much basically, but how still does it get? Is even though you're still, you're not moving, you've let go, but it's still some kind of like flowing and some kind of small movement happening always. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So it's never like everything totally stops moving completely. It's it's settled, but still there's kind of fluctuations always happening.
Yes.
Would you say that?
Yes. I mean, one obvious example is the breath. I mean, you continue to breathe, and just because of that, you're moving, and probably it's only very small, but like in yoga, you feel each time you breathe in, probably your spine stretches a little bit. Each time you breathe out, it contracts a little bit. It's very, very small, but this kind of movement, but like my live streams, and sometimes I put up a 1 minute short on YouTube, and then I play it like 20 times, 30 times the speed. And when you see me sitting in real time, it looks as if I'm not moving, but when you see that if it's 10 times the speed, 20 times the speed, I'm moving. And that's only natural. And sometimes, like after 20, 30 minutes, I become a little bit like this, but then at the end of the period, my spine stretches again. And all of that, of course, is part of the life experience. I mean, the same, of course, for our mind is true. The mind is never completely still. The mind is always in movement. The body is always in movement. But it's also possible to find a certain stability in that movement, to settle in there, so you're not, how do you say, moved around so much by the movement of your body and mind. You find a certain stability, but even that stability, it's not a perfect 100% stability.
That helps. Thank you. That makes sense.
Thank you. Okay, was it tomorrow Chinese New Year? Yeah, so I wish you a happy Chinese New Year. How about in 1 week? Do we meet in 1 week?
Yeah, we can meet 1 week later,
Okay.
like regular class.
1 week later, so you mean in 1 week?
Oh, no,
Or in 2 weeks?
we can just continue a regular
Okay.
class.
Okay, we continue. There's no holiday in a week or so. Good. So, maybe some Chinese will still celebrate in a week, but Xuan-san will open the Zoom room for us. So next time, I'm going to talk about the precious Mirror Samadhi, that old Chinese text again in 1 week. So if you like, please come. I would be happy to see you again. Anyway, I wish you a nice, how do you say, week, and also start of the year of the snake it is. In Japan, it already started on January 1st, but it really starts only tomorrow, I think. Okay, so thank you for joining. Have a nice week. Have a nice year of the snake. See you again. Thank you for Xuan for hosting us.